Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Data Unchained. I am your host, Molly Presley. For those of you who are new to the show, let me just tell you a little bit about this podcast. We've been running it for about a year and a half, really focusing on what are the changes that have occurred in the usage of data over the last few decades, and how are we taking advantage of it? So as you can imagine, Data Unchained, data is being created on sensors, on rocket ships, across clouds, data centers, and the technologies that were built for the original mainframes that were really computers in a building and the people all around them have changed dramatically. We'll dig into this in the show. Probably today's guest is a great example of distributed data. Today's kind of a fun episode too. It's a little bit less about deep language model training technology and more about what's maybe a little bit more real to all of us who drive cars and worry about some of those signs and those sensors that are keeping an eye on what we're doing. So without further ado, Brett Ferrin is the VP of Sales for Traffic Logix. Brett, thank you for joining the show.
Molly, it's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you inviting me in, and excited to discuss some of the topics that you mentioned.
Great. So before we jump into Traffic Logix and what your company does, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, gosh, where do I start? I think my greatest accomplishment in life is the fact that I will be married to my wife for 35 years next month. We have 6 children and 16 grandchildren. Outside of work, I love the outdoors. So I could be found climbing the mountains, behind a fishing pole. I have a tractor. I love to go out and just dig up the dirt and play around on my tractor in the spare time. And I'm a chicken farmer. I'm expecting 55 baby chicks to arrive at my house any day now. So, I just really enjoy animals. I enjoy the outdoors. A lot of things that maybe don't fit into that traffic safety world, but allow me to step away and enjoy life a little bit.
Okay, so I have to ask a couple questions there. So where do you live? Which mountains might we bump into you in?
I'm looking right now out my office window at the Wasatch Mountains just north of Salt Lake City.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, great. I can look out my window and see Pikes Peak in Colorado, so I'm a mountain fan as well, and it's beautiful right now with the white-tipped mountains and the summer coming. And then chicken farming. Is that a big deal when, I'm more into large animals, as you can see in my background, and calving season, foaling seasons, a hands-on, all hands on deck kind of thing. Is that true when chicken babies are born, or do they kind of just take care of that themselves?
The funny thing is, I actually started raising large animals as a young kid, growing up on a dairy farm, so I'm not a stranger to large animals as well. In fact, I had a herd of deer that I owned, fallow deer in my backyard. I get rid of those. I started with cows. They were too much of a headache with travel. But chickens are just a lot easier. They're a lot less maintenance. My wife enjoys the eggs. I've raised chuckers. I've raised partridge. I've raised quail, pheasants. I don't know. Birds are just kind of something that are easy for me in my travel schedule, but I love the larger animals as well.
Nice. So tell us, what does Traffic Logix do? And tie it back to what data has to do with the business strategy over there at Traffic Logix.
Well, let me go back to my beginnings. I've been with Traffic Logix for about 14 years, and when I started, we were a hardware manufacturing company that was making little black boxes with blinky lights for the roadway, and we were molding rubber. So as you drive through a work zone and you see all those little rubber mats or things around a cone or around a delineator post or anything molded out of rubber, that was our world. So that's where I started 14 years ago. And then it's been almost 10 years ago, our owner, very, very forward thinking, started to think about the importance of not only the box with blinky lights, but what else could we do with that? So they created this cloud system where we could start gathering data on the roadway. And now we have well over 14,000 devices throughout the world. We're an international company that we're gathering data with. And I think the challenge is exactly where you started. There's so much data out there now. What do we do with the data?
Absolutely.
But that's been our journey.
So a move from molding rubber to a data-driven cloud company is pretty interesting, but probably not surprising. That kind of exponential change in industries seems to be common in a lot of industries, and needing to use data is certainly valuable. Maybe tell us a little bit. I think all of us who drive around and see those blinky lights and alert, you're going too fast, whatever they may be seeing, what type of data are you collecting? What is traffic data?
And that's one of the concerns as I'm out there on the roadway and I'm putting up these devices, whether it's a camera, whether it's a radar feedback sign. I get stopped a lot by residents in the communities saying, oh, wait, what is this and what are you doing now? What information are you getting? Even our speed cameras, we are not gathering a photo of the driver. That is something that has been written into law in most states, that you can get a picture of the vehicle, you can get a picture of the license plate, but you can't get a picture of the driver. So the information that we're gathering is really only information about how many vehicles, about the speed, the average, the things that traffic engineers want to know. We do turn movement counts in the intersection to know which direction traffic is going. We're counting pedestrians, we're counting bicyclists. Things that really matter when it comes to long-term planning and long-term safety in the roadway. That's the kind of information that we're looking for, not who you are, your social security number, your date of birth, and what kind of car you drive. We're not interested in that.
And so as you think about the data you're collecting, where does it go? So you collect some data. Is it getting stored locally on one of these machines on the roadside and copied up to the cloud? Or kind of talk about just the data flow a little bit.
Okay, that's a really good question and one we get asked a lot. Again, I'm going to go back to we're an international company. We have offices in Canada, we have offices throughout the United States, we have offices in India, offices in Mexico, and we have an engineering office in Ukraine. So our data comes from a variety of different sources. Now, if you're in Canada, they want their data stored in Canada, so we have servers in Canada. In the United States, same thing. So we try and store that data locally in the cloud, but not across international boundaries, because people just don't want that information for whatever reason. It's not personal information, but it's still information that they don't want stored across the international boundaries.
And does all the data you collect go up to the cloud? So every sensor everywhere, or do you somehow filter it at the edge or at the sensor level and say we only care about a certain type of data?
No, we're gathering a lot of raw data. Now, the way we report that data, that's where we do the filtering. So there's a lot more information out there than most people want.
Sure.
Now, I was at a traffic conference here, it's been about 3 years ago. It was the ITS conference, Intelligent Transportation Systems of America. And I remember everything about that conference was all about data. And everybody had all of this data. And the buzz in that conference was, there's all this information out there. But these traffic engineers would walk into our booth and say, well, what do I do with it? How do I filter this data? Back to what you're saying right there. Are we gathering all the information? Yes. Are we filtering it? We have to. We have to be able to allow people to get the information that they want. I want it daily. I want it every 30 minutes. I want it weekly, or I want it monthly, or you know what? I just want it annually. And if you think about just looking at data on a roadway annually, that's a lot of information. So now we have to filter that down even further and say, okay, what's really important? Do we just want to know how many people are speeding, or what do we want?
Can you tell me the magnitude? How many of, I don't even know if a sensor, that may be an IT term, how many of your devices or sensors do you have deployed around the world? Just kind of order of magnitude.
It's growing every single day, but I would say we are somewhere between 10 and 15,000 sensors.
Okay.
Data collection units.
Okay.
There's a lot of different things that
different ways
we
it can
collect
be deployed.
data with.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
whether it's a radar sign, a data collector, a speed camera, there's a lot of different ways that we can gather that data. In fact, one of the things that we're working on right now that's kind of fun is we're trying to make rubber talk. So we make rubber speed humps, and people want to gather data when they drive over those rubber speed humps. So we're looking at putting sensors in those that makes rubber talk, helps us gather that data.
Interesting. So knowing things like how fast people are going, or if the bump is degrading, or if they slow down, are those the kinds of things you would look at?
Yeah, most of it, again, is around traffic counts. We call it ADT, or average daily traffic.
Okay.
And we need to know how much traffic is on the roadway, whether that's for the impact on the road, whether that's impact pedestrians, whether that's slowing down traffic or speeding up traffic, traffic in front of school zones. Most of it is probably around traffic counts and then speed.
Okay.
So when I started, we always said we were a traffic calming company, and we have a traffic calming toolbox, all these different solutions to help slow people down. Most of them are just general reminders, but what we really try and do is gather the information to make the roadway safer.
Interesting. Okay, so we talked about you have these data generating units, data gets moved up to a cloud, kept probably in the correct geography for compliance reasons. What do you do with it once it's there? Do you sell the data? Are you analyzing it for your own business purposes in order to make recommendations to your customers of what to do next? Like, what do you do with this data once analyzed?
Most of the data is actually for our customers' use. So they're looking at their local data to make, like I say, long-term planning decisions for growth reasons, for safety reasons, and that type of thing. But we do analyze the data. We recently came out with what we call the state of speeding. And the state of speeding is just that. We want to know, are these effective on the roadway? Are these general reminders enough? Or do we need to go to more the next level of traffic calming? And that could be ticketing. That could be a rubber speed hump. But what we like to do is we like to gather the data, and then we like to have a starting point of saying either we do have a problem or we don't have a problem. Now, if we do have a problem, what's the next step in addressing that problem? Do we go to a radar feedback sign? From there, do we go to speed humps? Okay, now we've got to go to speed cameras and we've got to start ticketing. So this data is helping us be better as a company, provide solutions for our customers, rather than just saying, oh, let's just sell them all the cameras and we'll just do the ticketing, and they can figure out what they want to do with that information. We really do have a toolbox, and it's a strategic toolbox of planning and helping understand where the problems are, how to address those problems, and how to get the outcomes that they want.
And when you think about this toolbox and querying the data, I've been in this space for a while, and the queries of data, I used to be a DBA, and then, I've seen the advent of data science come about, and now we have AI. Are you looking at very structured kind of an analysis? Here's 3 or 4 questions, everyone wants to ask of the data. We want to know how many people came by, how fast they're going, whatever it is. Or are you using tools like AI to try to answer questions you don't know to ask? I'm curious how you use the data from that perspective.
Most of our data is actually retrieved as raw data, and they want the raw data in a .csv file or something where they can go in and they can analyze that data themselves. Now, we do generate some reports based upon the most common requests that we get. Average speed, high speed, low speed, 85th percentile speed is kind of a buzzword in the traffic safety world. But we're not using AI yet, but I can tell you that it's coming. Because with so much data out there, we have to be able to have a way of quickly analyzing that data and getting the outcomes that we want. We're not there yet, but I'd be lying if I said that we didn't have people working on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the background.
And AI is a really interesting tool. You mentioned something in our prep call about using AI to map the data. Maybe you can talk just a little bit more about what you think the use case for AI will be. Will you be using specific models you've identified yet? Are you still figuring it out? Where are you in that journey?
So one of the solutions that we sell is actually out of Germany, and it's an intersection counting camera. and it's AI based. So they are gathering all that information, and then with their AI internal engine, they can spit out that information immediately. Where most of the competitors in that space are still having to analyze video, and they're having that human touch of looking at all of that video, and then 3 or 4 days later they can provide the counts, the information that people are looking for. But I do see that AI is going to be very, very, we're seeing it more and more. In fact, just today, I've probably gotten 2 or 3 emails from different manufacturers that are coming up with solutions, AI-driven solutions for immediate information. Now, I want to be careful with AI because there's a reason why it's called artificial intelligence, right? I still think there's a human factor to that. And there's nothing wrong with analyzing data with AI, but I think we have to be careful that AI doesn't overtake that human touch and the human factor in our day-to-day interactions.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting as we're kind of on this point where enterprises, smaller businesses are looking to adopt AI. We've all seen the consumer deployment. We've seen what, Meta and X can do. I think it's a very personal approach now on what is it that you're going to use AI for, and is it going to help you with data insights? Is it going to help your team move faster? What do you aspirationally think you'll get out of it, if you know yet?
I really do think it's that quicker data output, whatever you're looking for, the ability to sort through that data and get you the information that you need. I really do think that's the most valuable piece right now. Now, minds superior to mine are out there working on some awesome things with AI, and I don't know what those are going to be. But if I were to answer that question right now, I would say we're going to get better and more immediate outcomes with the amount of data that's out there.
That makes sense. And as you think about the cloud and how you're using the cloud, do you use it primarily for storage, or is it an analytics tool that you're using as well?
It's a combination of both. Our customers own their data, and the cloud allows them to look at a dashboard and not only manage the data, but manage the devices. So I'm going to take the city of Toronto, Canada, for example. Very large customer of ours, but hundreds of devices, and the cloud allows them to manage, like I say, all of their devices in one area, but it also allows them to get immediate information off of that dashboard without even having to run a report. And the reporting engine that we have on the back end of our cloud, very robust, very informative, and gives our customers a lot of good information in a very quick and easy format.
So as you think about who's listening to the podcast, I presume you're not really targeting your business to consumers, to car drivers. Is it governments? Is it city municipalities? Who is it that you're primarily selling to as your target customer?
It's interesting because I have seen a variety of different things that I never would have thought possible. In fact, years ago, early on in my career, we sold rubber speed humps in California along the ocean to protect sea otters. And they had this sign there that said, "Slow down for the sea otters." And I thought, wow, I did never see that one coming. But for the most part, it's municipalities, it's state governments, but we do a lot of business with private industry. And
Okay.
I'm not going to name names, but there's a large vehicle manufacturers. They're using these in their facilities, both internal and external, to manage vehicular traffic for different shifts as people come and go throughout those facilities, in the warehouses to manage forklift traffic, to help with pedestrian traffic. We do a lot of private community work with our speed cameras for HOAs, POAs, those type of communities who don't work with municipalities because they own their own roadways and they have the ability to manage those speeds internally. So it's a variety of things, but I would say it's probably 65 to 70% municipal government.
Okay. And so what do you see as next as you think about your industry, how you've talked about this kind of cosmic shift from making rubber to being a tech data company in the last 12 or 13 years? Where will you be and where will your industry be 5 or 10 years from now?
That is a really good question, and I wish I had a crystal ball. As I get older and closer to retirement, a lot of these questions are popping into my head. Do I want to stay in this industry? And I do. And the reason why I do is because there's so many advancements in technology and so many cool things happening. One of the things that I see happening right now is these private little traffic safety companies, these ma and pa traffic safety companies are being acquired at an incredible rate right now. Private equity is really taking over our industry like it is a lot of different other industries, but these large conglomerates are starting to be formed. And I think that's exciting because I think it's going to make things happen quicker. And I think we're going to see some better safety outcomes because of that. And then I'm also going to just say that we've only just begun to just get our feet wet when it comes to AI. And I think when it comes to traffic safety, our slogan, our motto as a company is safeguarding your ordinary. And when we get up in the morning and we walk our kids to school, or we get on our bike and go for a bike ride, or we go out and go for a run or get in our car, whatever our day-to-day looks like, we just want to be safe. Years ago, I was on the city council in my community, and they were going to bring a major grocery store to town. And it was just public outcry. Why do we want a grocery store? It's going to bring traffic. It's going to cause all of these issues. And ultimately, they built a grocery store. It's one of the best things that ever happened to our community. But all of these long-term planning decisions that are happening in our backyard and in our communities, it's important that we have the data, that we have these solutions that help us feel safe when we go about our day-to-day.
So, Brett, this gets me thinking as we look at the future. I think the last time I was in Palo Alto, I saw a lot of driverless cars zooming around and really without drivers now. And, to me, that's still a little mind-blowing, even though I know it's a reality. Does your technology and the makers of these autonomous vehicles somewhere intersect in the future?
So I have to tell you a story really quickly. I was in a conference in Phoenix, and I went to order an Uber. And as I ordered that Uber, this autonomous vehicle pulled up and, wanted me to get inside. And I politely declined because I just wasn't ready to at that point in time. But, there's a lot of apprehension for a lot of people to get behind, in an autonomous vehicle. We've been contacted many, many times by different manufacturers for electric vehicles, for autonomous vehicles, for the technology that maybe isn't in the roadway on a regular basis yet, but that it's coming. I don't know what that looks like, again, that crystal ball thing, but I can tell you that Traffic Logix will always be on the forefront of that technology and trying to find solutions to make sure that we're safe in the roadway to the very best of our ability.
I love that. Hey, Brett, really interesting episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else you'd like to leave the audience with as we tie up?
Well, Molly, first of all, I just want to thank you. This has been an awesome conversation. I really have enjoyed this today. I think in closing, I would just say, please, if you're concerned about the roadway, if you're concerned about safety, if you're concerned about your community, feel free to get on our website, trafficlogix.com. Check us out, ask questions, send us a message. We get messages all the time from concerned citizens. We can't always provide the outcome that you're looking for, but maybe we can reach out to your local officials. We can help guide them to give them the information, gather the data, and figure out what we can do to keep you safe in your community. That's the ultimate goal here. It's not about how much stuff can I sell. It's about how many lives I can save.
That's a fantastic mission. Love it. Thank you so much for joining today's show. Thanks for listening to Data Unchained, powered by Hammerspace. To learn more, visit hammerspace.com. If you have a guest you would like to hear on the show, email me at molly@hammerspace.com.